All right, how you doing? My name is Greg Conley. I'm the project lead the way teacher at the high school. This program has been around for about 9 years now, and we are really over the last 2 or 3 years amping things up, trying to get our students out to do job shadowing experiences when they're sophomores. And then their junior year, when they take the Principles of Engineering class, we send them out on a week-long co-op. That typically takes place during fall break or spring break. That way they don't have to miss any class time. And we have it set up with the Board of Education so that they will get paid a little bit of money. They make about $100, which is not a large sum of money, but it lets them know that we are interested and invested in them. The students that you see here in this panel today, most of them went out on engineering co-op, but not all of my students take this program to pursue engineering. Some of them take the classes to understand the problem-solving process and the other components that go along with being a successful college student. For example, Mr. Buckman, when you speak to him later, he did his co-op at Citizens Bank. He's very good at numbers and likes working with numbers, but does not have an interest in engineering, so we tried to hook him up with a co-op that would benefit him. The other students that you see here, a lot of them are under the exploratory avenue right now. They're trying to figure out which discipline they want to go into for engineering, and that's part of what this co-op is all about. Trying to get them out in business and industry here in town so that they can see what goes on behind those doors and try to match them up with something they're passionate about. That is something that I feel very strongly about. If you can find something that the student's passionate about, they never work a day in their life and everybody's happy. So without any other further questions, I'm going to turn this over to Stevie so she can interview our students about their experience.
Alrighty, we'll just get started. And whoever wants to comment first, feel free to take the microphone. First, I guess all of you are going to tell me this information, but I want somebody to tell me not only where you co-opt, but also what you remember about your first day on the co-op for job shadowing experience. What do you remember about your first day? Don't everybody answer at once.
Let's start with Zach over there. He's got a mic in front of him.
My name is Zach Hunt, and I went to BCD Construction. And on my first day, he explained to me all the paperwork we had to do for a construction site. We did a takeoff plan that explains what is all needed for a construction.
Now let's try the other side of the table. How about Todd?
My name's Ty Wheeler, and I went to Toyotomi. And the first day we basically went over the major machines and everything that they did with them.
Let's try somebody in the back. How about Diego back there?
Hello, my name is Diego Reyes. I went to TG Kentucky, and I looked at many disciplines of engineering while there. And on my first day, I looked at the major brake line that they use there, and that's pretty much where I was at the first day.
Okay, how about somebody that left the county? Somebody that left town?
That was
Went out of
Zach already did it.
Luke, where did you end up? You were at TG as
Nick
well.
O'Daniel.
Nick O'Daniel. Right.
My name is Nicholas O'Daniel, and I went to American Greetings in Danville, and I studied many disciplines of engineering. On the first day, we looked at time studies for employees to understand like how long it takes to do a certain operation, like how long it takes to pick up a box and move the box, and it breaks it down into several, I guess, measurements of different things, and to learn how many like units an hour they have to pick or whatever.
Okay, next question. Somebody give me an idea of what some of your specific responsibilities were during your job shadowing experience, and I mean specific.
Let's grab some people that haven't answered a question yet. So pass the mic in the back there. We'll start in the back. Luke Avery.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Tell me about your specific responsibilities at your job. What were your specific responsibilities?
In the beginning, I didn't really have too many responsibilities.
And where were you?
I was at TG, and my name's Luke Abel. The first 3 days, I was just getting to know many of the workers and the engineers that were at the company. I couldn't really participate or help out many with the machinery because I wasn't 18 yet, and there's like a liability. So I observed a lot, and they did a lot of explaining in a lot of detail into what they were doing and like the maintenance that they did and the engineering that they did.
Hi, my name is Brandon Lee, and I went to TG Kentucky, and we didn't really have, or at least I didn't have any responsibilities, and we just basically got a tour, and then we were explained of what was going on, and then problems that TG was having, and yeah.
Yeah, how about we grab somebody that actually did some work? I know, Zach, you were responsible, and Jeremiah, so let's let Jeremiah and those two respond.
Hello, my name is Jeremiah Moore. I went to FTS. One of the responsibilities I had to do was I had to make a cart for a Japanese person that was using it on an assembly line to make gas tanks for cars, and it took us about, I think, all week to make it, and then we had to paint it and make the metal for the cart and everything like that.
BCD Construction does all the 5-star designs around, and they made me go to Camelsville and take pictures of a site because they're putting in a beer cave because Taylor County just went wet, and they need pictures to know where doors were and what kind of walls was going to be infected, and that's about it.
You also, I hate to interject here, but you got to go to a special location during your week. You want to share with that?
I went to John Calipari's office in Lexington at the Joe Kraft Stadium, and they actually designed his whole new office, and he just took me to show him what they did.
Jane, just slide the mic down and let her answer this question. Trying to involve everyone.
Hi, my name is Jane. I went to TG Kentucky, and during my time there I explored many disciplines of engineering. Some of my responsibilities at the plant was kind of like Luke. The first few days I was I took tours, I got explained many things. And then the fourth day, I actually helped map out where machines were going to go. Like, I taped out some things and helped I don't know, what was the job title that she had? Project manager. I helped her trying to map out some machines and things, so that was really fun, actually getting a hands-on experience of what people do at TG day to day.
Okay, and so the job shadowing was for a week, correct? A week long? Okay. Even though maybe you didn't have as many responsibilities, what were some of the aspects of your experience that you really enjoyed?
My name is Landon Russell, and I went to TG Kentucky, and one day that I was there, I actually helped program a PLC, which was used to tell the machine and the operator every specific step to do, which made it a lot easier for the operator with less room for error. And we actually had to program this so if anything was out of line, it would let the operator know, and then an engineer would come have to figure out what's wrong.
What I really appreciated about the co-op was how I got to experience engineering firsthand. Not every student in the school gets to do that, and I really appreciate how Coach Conley implements this program into his classes, because it's really good to see the real world and how engineering works, and you can get a taste for it.
My name is Brandon Miles. I went to Central Kentucky Tool, and while I was there the first day, I couldn't really do much because I was kind of in the way, I felt, because the machinery was a little bit advanced for me. But after I caught on, they put me on some equipment, and I could help out, and I felt good about that because I didn't like being in somebody's way. And the last 3 days, they put me on some CAD/CAM programs, and I was able to help out a little bit better there because I actually have some classes in CAD/CAM, and it's a little bit easier for me to kind of use my abilities to help out in the process of what they did at Central Kentucky Tool.
What about Noah Spalding? Pass the mic down.
My name is Noah Spalding, and I co-opted at CFW Engineering in Louisville. And one thing that I felt was probably special about my co-op is I was taken and set up into my own office space, and was responsible for updating and overviewing some of the drafts there because it's a computer-aided drafting company, and they let me update and change dimensions to where they needed to be on some of their major drafts.
Okay. And this might be an awkward question, but during your week co-op, I keep saying job shadowing, I mean co-op, was there anything that maybe you had to do that you weren't necessarily fond of, or something you thought, yeah, this isn't something I want to do for the rest of my life? Is there anything that you kind of learned in regards to that? Because that's a good learning lesson.
And I want to elaborate on that a little bit. Part of this experience is also about finding out what you don't want to do. I mean, I have no issue with my students that spend a week at a co-op and come back at the end of the week and say, you know what, I know for a fact I don't want to do that, because we are saving them and their parents a lot of money by making these decisions before they leave to go to college. So let me just ask the group, do we have anybody that would like to volunteer an experience that maybe you didn't enjoy, or something you didn't like, or maybe you found out a discipline that you don't want to go into? Do we have anybody in this group that was not happy with it? Or they're just afraid to step up and say that? Okay.
Once again, I went to TG, and one thing that I did learn is that walking around on concrete all day really hurts your knees. So I'm sure after several years of doing that, you would have a lot of aches and pains at night, and that is one thing I did not like.
Anybody else?
And you were Landon, Russell, correct? Okay. And I know it was just a week, but I'm sure it was an eye-opening experience for most of you, if not all of you, to be actually in a real-life situation at a real industry or business. How did it, what ways did it kind of open your eyes in regards to what the real working world is like? Because as you know, it's much different than high school.
Cameron Singleton Huff, I don't think you've spoken yet today. Let's start with that one. Name and where you did your...
My name is Cameron Singleton Huff, and I did my co-op at Alutrum. And you say the question again?
Well, how did your experience open your eyes in regards to what the real working world is like compared to, your life thus far, high school and responsibilities here? How does it compare and contrast maybe?
All right, let's let him think on that. Luke Abel looks like he's ready to answer. We'll come back to you, Cameron.
Again, I did my co-op at TG, and one thing that I thought was different was that the co-op was really hands-on, and they gave you a lot of detail and let you close up visualize how to work on the machinery or the jobs and projects that they did. And that's different from the school, because with the school you just kind of take notes and study about the process, I guess, instead of working on it.
Great answer. Jeremiah Moore looks like he has an answer down there.
I went to FTS, and one of the different things there is than there's in high school. They're I don't know, their program is so much more different here. It's more technical, and you have to be really smart into it. I know there's just a Japanese dude there, and I forgot his name off the top of my head, but he was really smart on the blow mowers and stuff, and he knew exactly what to do if something broke down, and he was one of the maintenance men that I really didn't look over and everything like that, but I had a really interesting time.
One thing that I learned was that at a factory there's a lot more that's behind the scenes that nobody really sees, and that's that engineers, they're constantly going to meetings about complaints that their customers have and how they have to change what they're doing to suit the customer's needs, because at the end of the day that's what pays the bills.
I want to follow up on this. We have one student that's not with us today. He also went to FTS, and Jeremiah and Zach Shepherdson both came back the Monday we got back from our co-op experience, and both were very interested in the FAME program. It's a program that we've just gotten started here in our area within the last year. The numbers are increasing, and we have several companies on board with the FAME program, and I'm excited that this co-op experience turned 2 of those students onto that particular program.
Okay. Somebody give me some really great comments about how your co-op experience maybe has influenced your future goals or your career aspirations, either positively or negative. You know, it might have changed your outlook completely on what you want to do in the future.
Hi, my name's Luke Thomas, and I went to TG Kentucky. And I learned that if you go into the field of engineering, you're almost guaranteed that you're going to have a job. There's so many different possibilities you can go into, like chemical, mechanical, electrical. And if you work hard and get it, you can come out with a high salary. Engineering is the highest paid job with a bachelor's degree that you can have. And that has helped me to know that I want to pursue engineering because I enjoy it and I like it a lot.
Noah Spalding, did you have some comments on that?
What was the question again?
How has your co-op experience influenced your future goals or your career aspirations?
Well, one thing about my co-op that was different than everyone else's is that most other people worked in factories, as in where I was in an office environment, and I never thought of myself like going to work in one of those environments, but I realized that it's not that bad being quiet and like not around the sounds of like big machines or anything, and it's very relaxed and you can kind of like work at your own pace, and as long as you get your work done, then it's just, I don't know, better off than working at a factory for me, I'd say.
Diego has a response to that as well.
After this co-op experience, I was able to see engineers do their job, and it has really made me want to go forward with getting an engineering degree because I can see myself doing these things, and it seems very enjoyable and something that I would really like to do one day.
And then one final answer from Kate Cobb.
Right. My name's Kate Cobb, and I did my co-op at TG. And being a senior this year, I was really distraught about what I wanted to do, and this experience really helped me decide that I do want to be an engineer and I do want to go in a field, and it's okay to work in a factory. Not all factory work you leave as a line worker where all you do is put a part in a machine all day long. You can do more. You can be on a computer or do programs in which is skill-based, and you can increase your salary without having to be on a line and working all day.
I also think Jeremiah wanted to speak as well.
I've been like, in the past few years in high school, I have like really been pushing myself to do mechanical engineer. But whenever I went into FTS, Conley put me as an industrial engineer because where I'm taking Sims class next year. There's a new program here that has been introduced to high school, the Marion County High School. And whenever I went to FTS, I really like. Whenever I figured out what industrial they did there, I really liked it a lot. So like whenever I plan on going to college, I'm planning on majoring in 2 different things, so I can like be more experienced with engineering and how they work and electrical and everything like that.
All right. The other thing I want to mention before we finish this up, I know we're getting to the end of the questions, but Luke Buckman, sitting on the end down there, did not do an engineering co-op. He actually went to a bank. So I would like him to explain to us how his week went.
As he said, I'm Luke Buckman, and I did not go to an engineering factory thing. I went to Citizens Bank, and it was very different from everyone else because I was in an office environment, and I got to do a lot with money, and I got to send out bank statements, and I got to wire some money and count money. It was a lot of fun. I guess that's it.
And one question I didn't think of before this, but I'm thinking of now. Anybody you worked with during your co-op that gave you any advice that you've really held on to, or that really made an impression on you in regards to their career so far, that you'd like to share?
The fourth day, we were with a chemical engineer, Mrs. Williams, and she told us actually two pieces of advice that really stuck with me, but one stuck with me more than the other. And it was like, whenever you go to college, make sure to pick up a foreign language. And you wouldn't necessarily think about that with engineering, but especially at TG, where a lot of people speak Japanese, it's a very important thing because engineers work globally. So that was something I didn't really think about before, but I'm definitely considering now because of her.
Anybody else want to comment on that?
I'll go ahead. Another useful tip Mr. Kevin Godey gave to me. He said, now we're in high school, take as many high-level like math classes, because to be an engineer, you have to take calculus 1 through 4, and some people are able or challenge yourselves in high school to take calculus 1 where you have to have it, instead of taking it in college where you have to pay thousands of dollars to take the class. You can go ahead and get it over with now.
Okay, how has this experience been beneficial for you?
This experience has been really beneficial for me because it's made me like realize that like I want to push myself even more and more to be an engineer, and I'm not going to back down no matter how many challenges that comes in front of me. I'm always going to push myself to do it, and I just like it made me realize like how much time and effort is put into this, and it makes me want to even do it even more because it's a challenge for myself that wants me to do it.
It looks like they're getting quiet on me. I do want to follow up on something Luke said a second ago. The gentleman that he was working with, Kevin Godey, right? Yes, former Project Lead the Way student that has gone through school, got his engineering degree, and has returned back to Marion County to give back. We have several of those students in the community now, and we're looking forward to seeing all of these return in the very near future.
Last question. What advice would you give future students that will be participating in a co-op in the future? What sort of advice would you give them?
Go ahead, Kate.
One of the major advices that I would give would be keep your mind open. Like, I've gone through so many career ideas, career options, and I never thought myself to be anything close to a mechanical engineer or a chemical engineer. And just seeing these disciplines in real life in action, it can really open up your mind and see that they're not as far off what you want than they actually are.
One thing I would say is go in asking questions. Whenever you go there, you can never gain enough information. Just talk to people, make connections, because you never know when down the road somebody might come back and help you out after you've spoke with them as maybe even a high school student.
Anybody else have a comment on that? I'd also like to follow up on something. If the camera will pan around, if you can see how many females we have on this panel. That is a constant struggle in engineering. It is a nationwide problem. There's a huge push to try to utilize more females in the engineering field. So we are always trying to recruit females to come into the engineering field. And as Kate spoke to you and said, she didn't think of herself as an engineer when this first started. And now that she's come through the program, she's very confident that this is something she wants to do. So this is kind of a shout out to all the females out there that are good in math. We would love to have you in the engineering program. Stevie, did you have any more questions?
I think that's it, unless there's any additional comments from the panel of esteemed students.
All right, I would like to take a second to say thank you to my students for participating in the week, because I know you had to give up your fall break to do this. And then we have another round of this coming up, spring break, where we have another 15 or 16 students that would be going out. The last thing I want to say is to business and industry that are looking at this, we would love to have your company be involved with this program. If you're not involved with the program, all you have to do is contact the high school. My name is Greg Conley, or George Spraggins, who is our NAF Project Lead the Way Advisory Council President, or Terry Thomas, who works at the Career Center. We will be happy to set you up with a co-op and a job shadowing experience for the students.